Today, as in the early 19th century, it is convenient for many to ignore Henry's stern warnings of incipient tyranny if we cannot abide by electoral results and the decisions of properly constituted authorities, and to respond to disagreements at the ballot box. Finally, at the broadest level, the crisis of 1799 was a rich scene showcasing a complex shifting ideology of nation and citizenship that has long been a subject of historical inquiry. For years, historians have noted that around the end of the 18th century, there was an ideological shift from what is termed a classic Republican model, focused on individuals of virtue sacrificing for the good of the community, to a liberal worldview, focused on individual rights. Jefferson, in particular, is associated with that liberal idea of individual rights, personal pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. Today, this view of the history is somewhat out of favor among historians, or at least viewed as simplistic, in part because changes in these types of societal values are never complete and always gradual. Moreover, no one is completely focused on the community to the exclusion of individual rights, and few are focused exclusively on personal freedom to exclusion of community interests. Claims that the founders were committed to a republic run by a virtuous people are also called into question by the founders' continued support for slavery. Henry is not immune in this regard. Like Jefferson, Henry had strongly denounced slavery as immoral. Like Jefferson, he had urged those holding slaves to ameliorate their condition, to treat them more fairly. He too had recognized that the foul institution could not last. Jefferson reportedly told one inquirer that it was Henry, as governor, who led the 1778 efforts to ban slave imports to Virginia. Yet, Henry, when confronted by an abolitionist, confessed that he, like Jefferson, was drawn along by the general inconvenience of living here without them. While Washington freed his own slaves upon his death, and the financially impaired Jefferson, at least after 1820, might have been blocked by creditors from doing so, Henry was a wealthy man who could have done far more for his enslaved, stating in his will only that his wife might free several if she so chose. The reality of slavery is central to the legacy of the founders. Henry himself owned 98 people upon his death, and rented others. Still, among themselves, white male leaders of the young nation, and in trying to form a functioning republic, they continued to insist upon virtuous, that is, non-self-interested, leaders committed to the public weal. Regardless of slavery, it does seem that a general and important shift in how people saw and interacted with the political world occurred around the turn of the 18th to 19th century. Liberalism, individual rights, a clear foundation for Jeffersonians, became a foundation for American society as the 18th century waned, and these principles continue to be central to American society today.